Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Welcome to the Worry-Free Retirement with your host, the author and creator of the Worry-Free Retirement himself, Tony Walker.
Well, hello and welcome to the Worry-Free Retirement, the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money. And yes, I'm your host, the author and creator of the Worry-Free Retirement, Tony Walker, wishing you a good day and hope things are going well for you. By the way, this show is being recorded on November 11th, Veterans Day. The reason I mention this, of course, this show is shown throughout the country on a tape-delayed basis. In fact, I thought it would be good before we get into today's show just to kind of remind you of the different stations out there that are now airing the Worry-Free Retirement. By the way, you can find out these stations if you just go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and we've clicked on this particular page. And as you can see, we've got several stations throughout the country that are offering this particular program. This program is the only show, as we said, dedicated to helping savers worry less about money. And we certainly appreciate your feedback that we've received off the show and the new information you're getting. And you know, folks, that's kind of the problem. The information most of you have received over the years has been great information, financial information. We don't want to put that down necessarily, but it's been geared towards investors or sometimes even the case of speculators. And all too long, savers, which I believe is the majority of the population, has gone unnoticed, and much of the information is not for them. And I've done this for 30 years now, and I can tell you that we build our process, the Worry-Free Retirement, specifically with products and strategies to help savers worry less about money. By the way, if we can show our 3 books, 3 of the books that I've authored will later be free for you as you watch this program. We'll tell you later how to get these 3 free books. The Worry-Free Retirement that I authored several years ago, Don't Follow the Herd, and my most recent book, The 3 Personalities of Money. In fact, if you would like to find out more about the 3 personalities of money, one thing you can do, this interesting concept of trying to help people determine their financial personality, you can go to 3, that's the number 3, personalities.com. And once at the 3personalities.com website, you'll notice the little icon there to the left that says take the test. I would highly recommend you take this free test. It's only about 4 to 5 minutes in length, and this is a real interesting way to help uncover and help you discover this new concept of financial personalities rather than blindly throwing your money and blindly trusting everybody that comes along with new financial information. I have a background in psychology and communications, and I believe the key to a worry-free retirement is first knowing thyself and then finding the products and financial services that suit you, not necessarily the financial world. Well, as always, we get ready to kick off today's program, and we first have to introduce to you America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander. Aaron, how you doing, buddy?
I just love that title. I just love when you call me that. I just feel so lifted up and just my shoulders get a little more straight and just I love it.
And then you go back home to the real world and you straight back down.
That's right.
Just remember, repeat to yourself throughout the day, I'm America's favorite financial sidekick. Right. Yeah, things get tough. So.
I need a t-shirt or something that just I can look at, you know.
Okay, well, this is kind of a silly question because I know we're going to share some stuff with the viewers out there. What did you do this weekend?
What do you mean, what did I do this weekend? I was with you all weekend, basically.
Man, we had fun, didn't we?
Yeah, we had a blast.
Tell the folks about what we did all weekend.
Okay. Well, what we had was Tony's Client Appreciation Dinners, and they were located in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and Louisville, Kentucky. We had the Bowling Green one this past Friday night, and then we traveled up to Louisville on Saturday night and hosted Tony's Client Appreciation Dinners. And they were just a blast. We had food, we had entertainment. This is some of the footage that I captured of the night. We got
this is Louisville, right? In
yes,
Louisville.
This is in Louisville. This
okay.
This was the previous Saturday night. That's me kind of getting fancy, walking around. I'm trying not to bump into people.
You look like 60 Minutes there or something, Aaron. I mean,
yeah,
wow.
we did an investigative report. You know,
yeah.
What's Tony Walker all about? You know, no, we had a really good time. had the entertainment of the night. The Ladies for Liberty, we'll see them here in a minute. Tony just wants to, Tony does this about once a year and just wants to say thank you to his clients. Like I said, this is a client appreciation dinner.
Yeah, look at there. Uh-oh, there's somebody. We're bartering.
There's some shady work going on right there.
Yeah, he's going, give me $20 there, Walker, now. Oh, yeah, they're in there. I was waiting for the Ladies for Liberty. We got to get them up there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Wait a minute.
I think they're coming here in a minute.
There's a good shot. You did a good job there, and I was worried about the lighting. Yeah. And again, folks, that's our clients in the Louisville. Actually, it includes southern Indiana, northern Kentucky, up near Louisville, Kentucky. You can, oh, there's a good shot. People had a big time there, and I know a lot of people out there offer dinner seminars. Oh, there's the Ladies for Liberty. They did a great job. Wasn't it apropos for Veterans Day?
It was really nice to just see, veterans just being honored in that sense. They finished out the night with Proud to be an American, and I mean, there were people, standing up, tears. Oh, this was a good one.
You got this on tape. Yeah, this is good. This is the old Johnny song they sang, the Andrews Sisters.
This was the song they sang, Oh, Johnny, Johnny.
And there was not really a lot of alcohol involved, but apparently this gentleman had too much. I don't know what was going on. Look at there. He is worry-free. Now, that's what happens.
That's what worry-free looks like.
That's what happens, folks, when you enter into the world of the worry-free retirement. He was a very solemn individual before then, and oh, there was the end. Ooh, isn't that cool? All right. Man, neat stuff. Okay.
Now this is in Bowling Green.
Oh, that's the Bowling Green.
This is the Bowling Green. This is the Bowling Green crowd.
Okay. The Bowling Green had that Friday night. Man, you were busy. I didn't really realize how busy it was.
I think I need some time off.
Uh-oh. Contract negotiations. Here we go. I knew this was coming.
Yeah.
There's my wife there beside me.
Yeah.
There's my wife Susan, my son there, one of my children. Okay, good stuff. Okay. Don't want to bore the people to tears with that, but that's good stuff. I really did a good job with that, Aaron.
Yeah, I think we had a lot of fun. It was the first client dinners that I had ever been to, so I wasn't really exactly sure what to expect, but I thought I'm just going to shoot everything. And people were very gracious. I would go up to people's tables. Would you mind? If you want, would you mind if I got a shot? Anything for Tony. That was kind of the phrase of the night. Anything for Tony.
Wow.
So,
hey, and before we get into the Facebook offer, I want you to tease people for next week, because we got this new gig going on where I send you out to some of our clients and follow them around and get their take on what they think a worry-free retirement's all about. So tease them just briefly what we're going to see next week with some footage that you're working on. I know you did this last Friday as far as you're covering this one couple that recently retired.
Yes, last Friday I visited a couple here in Kentucky by the name of Brian and Anita Ashley, and they're retired. They met with Tony. How long have they been clients?
They just recently became clients.
Just recently started working with Tony, and had nothing but great things to say about Tony and his services. But what I did was I followed them around on Friday morning and Friday afternoon. I went out to their place. They've got 48 acres here in Kentucky, and we just talked, and I just asked them questions about, what do you think it means to be worry-free? What were some of your questions about retirement? What did people think about when you decided you were going to retire? What did people tell you? Did people give you right information or false information? Okay, so that's what we had. I've got a little bit of that coming up next week. We'll have that ready for you next week, okay?
And you're going to remind them real quick while we got you there. And I got you busy today. I'm not even doing anything.
Hey, it's all right.
Okay, this is good.
Go take a break.
Okay, tell them about Facebook real quick. We want to, and the YouTube videos before we go to the next segment here, and also how they can win a tote bag for our viewers.
Okay, just real quick, we've got Tony Walker Financial's Facebook page. If you want to go there, go and like his page. We got over 100 likes this weekend, so congratulations to Tony on getting over 100 likes this weekend. And what we're going to do with that is each week I'm going to pick someone who has liked Tony's page, and we're going to send him a free Tony Walker Financial tote bag. So that's what we're doing with Facebook. If you go to YouTube, make sure you type in Tony Walker Financial in the YouTube search bar and go to Tony's YouTube page and subscribe to it. And I'll be putting up new videos weekly, just when we get some new information. We've got past episodes of the Worry-Free Retirement on there. We've got Tony in the Trenches on there. We've just got all kinds of good information for you if you've got any kind of questions.
All right, thank you, Aaron. Great stuff. We got a ton of stuff to cover when I come back. I'm going to talk real briefly about what do you do with the universal life. We're going to talk about annuities, and we're going to talk about a recent article that's right up our alley about being worry-free and how America's mindset is beginning to change more to our way of thinking versus the financial world. You stay tuned. I'm Tony Walker. We'll be right back. How would you like to find a trusted advisor in your area who practices and preaches the same safe money solutions that I speak of on this program? Well, you can by simply logging on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and clicking on the Find an Advisor link. Once there, just fill out the confidential profile and submit it. This free service is available to savers who are serious about safeguarding their money. So what are you waiting for? Stop worrying and log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
The reason I came to you is because I know now, I wish even back in my early 20s when I first got out of college and started teaching, that I would have been able to save some more money then to be able to build for retirement so that I can be worry-free then and not have to think about where is my money going to come from. So now I've learned, even at the age I am now, I still have a lot of time to do something to get some money put away.
You know, one of the good things about watching this program is for the past 30 years, I've literally talked in person to thousands of people. Now, I'm not talking about like the TV show I've done for years or people on the radio that take these little snippets of stuff. I literally have been in the trenches meeting with people and working with people. You know, I have over 1,000 clients, and that's allowed me to really get into the hearts and minds of the American consumer. I like to say Joe Lunchbox, just hardworking people who are trying to do the right thing. And this is a lot of what I hear. People get to reflect on their lives. They share it with me. I'm able to share it back to you, and then we can all relate together and try to figure out how to create this worry-free retirement that we know that we can create without necessarily the help and the mantra and the genre of the financial world, which sometimes becomes gloom and doom, discouraging, I'll never make it, and that is not the right message. With that in mind, before we get into this response on this Tony in the Trenches, I did want to cover very briefly, because last week I kind of left you hanging. Some of you have some of these older universal life or adjustable life policies that you took out in the 80s or 90s, and you realize they could be a real ticking time bomb. So what do you do with them? Here, let me throw up a graphic real quick. Let's cover this very quickly. Let's say you've got an older universal life or adjustable life policy. Here are your options. Now, by the way, don't just run out and do this. Please consult your current advisor that you have that wrote this policy. If you don't have that person, find a retirement specialist like myself. If you're in the Southern Kentucky area, I can help you. If you're outside that viewing area and you're watching this show, we have people around the country that can help review these policies and help you make this decision. But here they are. You can just cash in the policy. Another option you have with a universal life policy, you can keep paying the same premium and kind of hope that it doesn't fall apart. You could do that. The third option you have with the universal life is you could contact the company, pay more in premium, and that way hopefully the policy will remain in force until your death so that your heirs and loved ones can receive this tax-free benefit that you had purchased. We've got another option you could take with these policies. You could contact the company and reduce the death benefit, which lowers the cost of insurance. Thus, maybe you don't have to pay more premium, and possibly the policy would stay in force. And I think we have one more option that I've listed here. Yeah, that's right. We could take the cash value. This is called a 1035 exchange, and you could transfer that to another type of policy. It might be a dividend participating whole life, a new type of universal life, or even an index universal life. So those are your options. And again, if you're sitting there with a policy like this and you want somebody like me to review it that's experienced, there's no cost or obligation. Just go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. If you're outside the Southern Kentucky viewing area, go down to the bottom of the screen and simply click on Find an Advisor, fill out all that information, and we will have someone contact you, and at no cost or obligation can review those policies and review your situation. All right. Real quickly, I'm going to put Aaron to the test here in a minute. Stay with me here, folks. This particular article just came out, and boy, this is a doozy because, do we have a copy of the WorryFree Retirement book? I want to show you the WorryFree Retirement book, just a still shot of that. This book I began working on, folks, after 9/11. Notice the name, the WorryFree Retirement, and notice down at the bottom what it says, an exciting new way of thinking. And this is big picture stuff. Okay, thank you. Because what I found was after 9/11, from my days of managing money back in the 90s when, basically anybody could pick the right stocks and win, and we found out it's more difficult than we thought to do that, this article just came out the other day. And folks, this is what I've been preaching for years. This is not new news, it's certainly good news, but this is very old news, and it confirms what I've been trying to teach, and that is there is other ways to be worry-free without trying to save a boatload of money. It is not about the money. And this is an interesting article. Let's go to this article here on the Elmo. You might have to zoom in just a tad here, Aaron. I'm going to read the highlighted yellow part. Look what it says here. The experience, this article is talking about the Great Recession we had several years ago. The experience goes a long way, in other words, what boomers learned from losing so much money in terms of boomers' priorities. By a margin, this is wild, by a margin of 7-1, adults past the age of 45 say their focus today is on peace of mind. Could we say worry-free? Amen. Not wealth accumulation, according to a new retirement study from Merrill Lynch and New Age Wave. Now go on down a little bit there, Aaron. A growing focus on achieving peace of mind. How do we do this? Causes people to think about what really matters. And finally, let's go over to the last page there. If you can flip the page, let's read what it says there. We believe that in this post-recession mindset, this is what the author says, people realize that living beyond their means is not wise, and the stock market and home prices don't always go up. None of this is terribly surprising, but for 4 years after the recession ended, evidence of our new values is still trickling in. All right, thanks. Well, what is all that saying? Folks, what it's saying is you've got to take charge of your finances. In order to be worry-free, you have to have the proper tools to help you do that. That's why I've created the Worry-Free Retirement book, which is all these books are available at Amazon.com. That's why I created Don't Follow the Herd, which talks about getting out of the stream of the herd and learning to manage money yourself and finding out about safe and secure products that can help you be worry-free. And finally, that's why I created the latest tool, which I think is going to be changing the game, and that's the 3 personalities of money. It gets away from this nonsense that everybody is wired for risk. That's not the case at all. Most people are like my granddad. They're not wired for risk. They're wired for safety, and the 3 personalities of money helps people determine their predominant financial personality. By the way, you see those 3 books there? All right, making a special offer here, Aaron. People watching, it doesn't matter where you are throughout the country. Each TV station, so this is a lot of books we'll be sending out for free. The first 10 people from each station watching the show to request these books, we will send you not 1, not 2. I know it sounds like we're getting ready to send a Ginsu knife too. 3 books absolutely free. This is a $49 value, folks. All you have to do, here's how you got to get these books though. You go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. You click on Contact Tony. Up at the top, Contact Tony, and give us your name, your mailing address, and phone number, and put on there, please send me the free books. And again, that's the first 10 in each market, so you got to get that in right away. All right, TonyWalkerFinancial.com. You know, one of the things savers hate is cost. They do not like cost. And what I want to show you very briefly before we go to break is something a gentleman showed me years ago in the financial world named Don Blanton. Don Blanton really helped me understand cost. I'm going to take 1 minute here to show you something. Let's go over to the whiteboard if we can. This is really cool stuff here, because a lot of times savers are duped into the idea that you need to invest more money for risk or for growth, that making more money on your money is the only way to do that. And in some ways that's true, but not necessarily from investments. In other words, if we could reduce cost, that means you have more money in your pocket, which means you have more to invest, so why not be safe with the money you get back? So let me show you this real quick graph, and when we come back, I'll give you an exact example of how this works. Basically, when you have dollars made, anywhere that it's made, whether it's wages or earnings, 3 things can happen to this money. All right? It can incur a cost. You can invest that money, or my favorite, and I'm sure Aaron, you would agree with this, you can spend it. That's the only 3 things that happen with a dollar that you go make. It incurs a cost, you can invest it, or spend it. Now here's the problem with cost. If you add up all the interest you pay on loans, all the taxes you pay, and I'm talking about all of them, all the insurance premiums and all the fees you pay to people, what do you think that number would be? It would probably be 50 to 70% of whatever you make. So folks, we're going to give you an actual example when we return on the difference between annuities and what tax deferred really means and how they can save you in cost versus what we call a taxable investment. So if you're looking away for how to safely grow your money and earn money on your money with lower cost, you're going to want to stay tuned. This is going to be some really cool stuff. I'm Tony Walker. We'll be right back. For nearly 30 years, I've made it my life's work to help savers worry less about money. And now I invite you to personally contact me to discuss your situation to see if I can help you. It's very easy. You just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and click on the Meet with Tony link. Or if you like, you can attend one of my free financial workshops. As always, there's never any cost or obligation to meet and discuss your situation in private. So what are you waiting for? Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Well, welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement, the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money. And yes, I'm the high verbal needs specialist, Tony Walker. I've got myself into trouble. We're running out of time, but I got to cover this. Again, on next week's show, in case we run out of time here, I'll follow up with this in more detail. You're going to want to learn more about opportunity cost. And then remember, America's favorite financial sidekick, Aaron's going to have some great stuff for us as we follow one of my clients around and see how they're enjoying retirement. But let's focus on this. What we left with is this idea of cost. And one of the biggest costs out there is taxes. What some of you don't realize, though, is the investments themselves create the taxes. So this doesn't make sense at all. You go out and you make money, you pay taxes, then you invest the money, then you pay more taxes. So let's kind of zoom down here on this bottom. Let's look at this real quick. Let's say you had $100,000 invested. Okay, you with me? And let's imagine over the next 20 years you earn 5%. And you're in a 25% tax bracket. Okay, let's just focus on this. $100,000 invested, 5% interest, 20 years, but you have to pay taxes. The taxes you would have paid at the end of the 20 years is $41,000. Now leave it on here. Aaron's in the background. I'm going to question. Aaron, here's the problem with this. Did you just lose taxes on your money? What else did you lose?
You lost.
I'm hinting.
Yeah, that
I'm hinting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Think about this, folks. If you just got through paying the government $41,000 in taxes, doesn't that mean that you no longer have $41,000 to invest at 5%? And that's called lost opportunity cost. So what happened was the taxable bond in this example, this is a non-qualified taxable bond. We're imagining this could be a mutual fund or anything. The old CDs used to pay 5%, but it doesn't matter. It could be a REIT, whatever. All right. You cost the taxes $41,000 that went to the government, but because you had to come up with the money out of your pocket, you then sent $25,000 also somewhere. We don't know where it's gone, but it's gone. It's sure in your pocket. So what happens is you say, well, how can I minimize this lost opportunity cost? In this example, if you have a non-qualified account, if you've got money in the bank, if you've got bonds, you've got mutual funds, and you're looking for a way to defer taxes, we're going to see this next week because I know we're going to run out of time. This is really going to be cool. And this is actually going to blow the minds of some of the people in the financial world who say that tax deferred actually saves you money in taxes. I know that sounds kind of like an oxymoron, but on our next show, I'm going to show you how tax deferred doesn't necessarily mean tax savings. What tax deferred means is we're going to save the lost opportunity cost. And boy, when you grab this concept, you savers out there, as we get more and more into this on our next show, the light bulbs are going to go off because you're going to realize how much money you're just throwing away. All right? So with an annuity, what happens is the annuities we'll see next week, you don't owe any current taxes because it's tax deferred, but what you're really saving is not necessarily taxes, because you'll owe the taxes on the annuity one day. What you're saving is the lost opportunity cost or the $25,000. So again, what are the four costs? What will we be going over on these next several shows that we're going to be covering? The first cost is taxes. We've talked about that, and I'm going to talk about that in more detail next week and how annuities can really help you with lost opportunity cost. We talked about interest. Many of you are paying so much in interest on credit cards, and even some of you who still have high interest rates on your homes that you might be able to refinance. Huge opportunity cost. The other is fees. And if you've watched this show enough to know, fees are going to get you. Wall Street is charging more and more in fees because they realize they can make more and more money. If you have a variable annuity out there, nothing wrong with a variable annuity, doggone it, but they just come with such high fees which are detrimental to your wealth building years, especially if you're a saver. That's why we recommend fixed annuities versus variable annuities for savers. And then finally, insurance premiums. And we talked about that a little bit with Universal Life. That's why it is so important if you have a Universal Life policy. See how this is starting to work? If you pay insurance premiums for all of these years on a Universal Life policy, only to find out one day the policy is going to implode, what did you lose? You lost the insurance premiums. See if you caught this, Aaron. What else do you lose, Aaron?
You lost the investment interest.
There you go. See, it's not that complicated. So when savers start getting their minds wrapped around this concept of focusing on cost, listen closely, focusing on cost instead of always chasing returns, instead of always following the herd, what's going to happen is, and this happens with my clients, you start feeling more in control, you start feeling like you're making more progress in your savings, and more importantly, you start understanding this concept of a worry-free retirement, which means control the things you can control. Quit worrying about the things out of your control. Quit messing with all these variables out there that you can't control, and all they do is create worry. Well, I'm Tony Walker. I'll come back for a few closing comments, and I'm going to tell you one more time how to get these free books we're offering, so stay tuned. I'll be right back with a Worry-Free Retirement. How would you like to find a trusted advisor in your area who practices and preaches the same safe money solutions that I speak of on this program? Well, you can by simply logging on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and clicking on the Find an Advisor link. Once there, just fill out the confidential profile and submit it. This free service is available to savers who are serious about safeguarding their money. So what are you waiting for? Stop worrying and log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's program of the Worry-Free Retirement. We'll be on next week, but again, one more time, for those of you in the Southern Kentucky area or outside the Southern Kentucky area, to get your free books. This is the first 10 now. The 3 books, all 3, Worry-Free Retirement, Don't Follow the Herd, The 3 Personalities of Money, absolutely free. Go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and we'll get those books to you. In the meantime, I'm Tony Walker saying I hope you have a good day, and if you want to be worry-free, check us out each week right here on this program. Have a good day.
You've been watching the Worry-Free Retirement with financial advisor Tony Walker. To ask Tony a question or to find an advisor in your area, log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.